On my last video, a lot of people left comments saying that they wanted to have hope, but were doubtful, or that they straight up never shipped Byler in the first place. That happened for various reasons, but the most common one was that if Byler became canon in the last episode, it would be too rushed. I have some points and examples as to how the best way would be to go about Byler, and why it wouldn't be rushed if done right. Once again, if you don't like Byler, don't watch the video. If you watch it anyway, don't leave hate comments. This video isn't for you. Let's start with the why. In my last video, I mentioned that the Duffer brothers like the fictional couple of Cora and Asami, who don't get together until the last episode. When the couple became canon, lots of fans protested that it wasn't realistic and felt rushed. But at a deeper level, there was subtext throughout the whole series suggesting that they had feelings for each other. If you're like me and have watched multiple Byler video essays, you'll know that there's been clear subtext revolving around Will Byers and Mike Wheeler all the way back in Season 1, both separately and together. Will's subtext is much easier to notice, with being called queer by school bullies and the F's by his father, the rain fight in Season 3, the van scene in Season 4, etc., not to mention that Will came out in the most recent episode. However, for Mike Wheeler, the queer subtext is harder to find. Instead of hinting at Mike simply being queer, the subtext hints at Mike being surrounded by homophobia instead. In Season 1, when he was desperate to find Will, his father told him, "See what happens?" As in, see what happens when you're queer in a small town, referring to the fact that the town believes Will was killed in a hate crime for being queer. There's multiple instances of Mike's father saying things like that, mainly revolving around Mike and the possibility of him being queer in a derogatory way. And though we don't get much of an idea into what Mike thinks about that, it's suggested that he's overtaken by internalized homophobia. This is most obvious in Seasons 3 and 4, especially with the sudden awkwardness around Will and his reluctance to say that he loves Elle. Like with what I said earlier, I don't have all the examples, so another creator can probably go more into depth on this. While Will's queerness and love for Mike is addressed more outwardly and more easily for the viewers to digest, Mike is more mysterious. You have to admit, no matter who you ship, that if the Duffers give no explanation into Mike's character, then he'll just be very confusing. So, if Mike's character is so shrouded in mystery, then why am I so sure that he reciprocates Will's feelings and has internalized homophobia based on the smallest details? That leads into my how. I talked a little bit about this in my previous video. The Duffers said everything in the show was intended to be analyzed, down to the smallest details. They also said they wanted a big plot twist like the Sixth Sense, which they mentioned in an interview. They said that the best plot twists are the ones you don't expect at first, but when you look back at everything before it, it all makes sense, and you wonder why you didn't realize it sooner. The upside-down wormhole reveal wasn't really a plot twist, at least to me. It was just an explanation. So what kind of plot twist could they include in the finale of their show that's been hinted at from the very beginning, but only clocked by a small section of the fan base? Mike Wheeler reciprocating Will's feelings. Yes, Will did refer to Mike as his Tammy when he came out, but that just makes the possibility of Mike's arc even more likely. I believe that Will is an unreliable narrator, since he's believed for years that Mike would never love him back and simply assumes it at this point. This is a feeling that both Will and the general audience share. Robin and Will don't have to have the same exact story, and not to mention Mike and Tammy are in no way comparable. Tammy was Robin's hallway's crush, and she believed that if Tammy liked her back, she could accept her sexuality. But when Tammy dated Steve, she hated Steve and hated herself. Will and Mike have known each other and been best friends since kindergarten, and Will believes that Mike doesn't love him back, but accepts himself anyway. That doesn't mean he absolutely has to be independent. It just means that he loves himself whether Mike likes him back or not, which is a beautiful thing. It just also happens that Mike does in fact like Will back. Don't you see how big of a plot twist that could be? If you're this far into the video and don't agree with me, what other major plot twist could there be? Think about it. Every main character has resolved their own personal/emotional arcs at this point, except for Kali, Elle, Hopper, and Mike. And I think it's safe to say that the finale will do something with just Kali, Elle, and Hopper as a side plot. That just leaves Mike Wheeler, the one who we have no idea what he's thinking about, whose mind has been closed off to us for as long as we can remember. If every character is going to have, or has already had, an emotional arc that resolves their inner turmoil, Mike has to have one too. He's the heart. He's the emotional core of the group. If he's the only one without a personal arc, that defeats the whole purpose. And having Mike's arc be accepting his queerness and realizing his reciprocity towards Will would be exactly the plot twist that the general audience wouldn't expect. But that's why I also think there will be a realization montage from Mike's point of view. This could be related to the painting lie being brought back up, or the theory that Mike will get vecna'd. Either that, or the general audience would claim that it's unrealistic and rushed, like Cora and Asami, and they'll be encouraged to rewatch the show on the lookout for Mike Wheeler's queer subtext, and be surprised to realize that it's been there the whole time. I know Volume 2 might not seem it, but the Duffer brothers are brilliant writers and know what they're doing. They've had the ending of season 5 planned from the very beginning, even before season 1. That's all for now, and I hope this helps.